All right. Well, happy Monday, everyone, again. Today is June 1st, 2020. My name is Taylor Dolezal, and this is the 119 release team meeting. I do have a couple things for you here at the end. I did want to remind everyone that since this is a Kubernetes organization meeting, this falls under the Kubernetes policy, which simplifies to be excellent to one another. And certainly in these times and everything that we're seeing, definitely in the US, really do want to dig in on that point and say now is the best time, every day is the best time to be excellent to one another. And I'm thankful that we exist in such a fantastic community and that we're able to work so well with one another. I have not seen, personally I'm lucky, I haven't seen any situations that have been crazy or poor when working with anyone here or anyone within the community. And I'm just very appreciative of that fact and just want to double down and encourage that in everybody today and as we go through the rest of our time here and interacting with others. So be excellent to one another, keep up the good work, and let's do some awesome things. Kicking off today, I'd love to turn it over to Nabrun for enhancements.
Hi everyone, happy Monday. So enhancements is pretty much green. We are tracking 44 enhancements. Out of that, 14 are in alpha, 15 are graduating to beta, and 13 to stable. Apart from that, we have got one exception request today. So we would probably be taking action on it soon. Other than that, I don't have any updates as such. So if anyone has any questions or concerns.
Thank you very much, Nabrun. CI Signal with Dan.
Hey folks, hope everyone is doing okay this Monday. Quick update for CI Signal. We are yellow, which is probably pretty generous. We're in a pretty good shape. We do have 2 failing tests on master blocking, which is never a good thing, but they are the 2 kind test. And they were originally failing for a different issue where they were having issues with the amount of nodes in the proud build pool, which I've linked a PR there that bumped those nodes up. And they were passing. I'm now having an issue with some parallel Ginkgo tests, and there's already a fix in for that. So hopefully we'll see those resolved shortly. Outside of that, most else looks good. We do have some flaky tests, particularly in informing that are of note. The cluster API tests are still being investigated because it's basically something internal to how cluster API works, where they're using the GCP project name for how they're naming basically Kubernetes objects, and they're running out of space and the amount of characters allowed. So that is being investigated. There are some, for 11 flaky tests, there are some kind of misnomers there because the scale tests, for instance, run once a day and they've been green for almost a week now, but they're still showing up as flaky. So not too many worries there. And then the remainder of them were mostly related to a small issue with Boscos last night that has resolved itself, and we're looking pretty good there. We do still have the 2 failing Windows tests. Per usual, I will continue to let them know that we would like those to not be failing, and we will try to move the needle on those a little bit. Outside of that, CI Signal Shadows have been doing a lot of great work lately documenting the tests on the master informing and blocking boards. So hopefully we get a little more insight to those. I've also spoken a little bit about how we're dividing responsibility there. So hopefully in the future, we can have some of them this week, for instance, kind of give an update on their specific set of tests that they've been owning. So they've been doing a great job there. So that's really cool to see. Any questions?
Perfect. Thank you, Dan. Bug triage, Vlad.
Hey, happy Monday, everyone. So we are, this is our first week of re-election. we've started following up on GitHub and Slack, chasing people, giving friendly bumps. We are solid green. We are seeing overall number of issues declining. Some of the open pull requests were postponed to either 120 or just put on pause indefinitely. But yeah, overall we are green. Thanks.
Fantastic. Any questions? Thank you, Vlad. Let's go to Docs.
All right, so it's Michael Johansson here, Doc Shadow, and our current status is yellow. We have unknown issues, 19 right now, and needs docs but no draft PR, 7. We have been starting like pinging for the second, sometimes third time to just get hold of all the placeholder PRs basically, since the enhancement freeze. Yeah, I think that sums it up. So any questions? Right.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thanks.
Release notes, Adolfo.
Hi everyone. So we're green right now. We successfully updated the release notes to beta 0 last week after having some issues with the document formatting, but they're not fixed. And we also, for the first time, automatically generated the patch release notes for the release notes for the patch releases of 1.18, which were missing. But this is the first time that we've managed to do it fully automatic. So we're very happy about that. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Adolfo. Any questions? Great. Comms update with Max.
Hey everyone. So we are also green. We're on a good track. We just selected some potential enhancements for some feature blocks, and the comms team started to reach out to the enhancement owners and or the SIG leads basically to agree whether or not they would like to write a feature blog post. And beside that, we opened the draft for the release blog, invited the release lead teams, team leads and the teams itself to participate in it. And we are also going now to reach out to the CNCF. Also need to start already to communicate about the potential landing zone for the feature blocks in the end, because there will be somewhere around KubeCon and or the virtual KubeCon, and I expect that there will be also potentially a lot of blog posts, whether from CNCF as well as from on the Kubernetes blog, so that we maybe have some colliding a little bit with our feature blog posts, and maybe we need to move them a little bit 1 or 2 weeks later so that we give enough space and attention also to the feature blog post itself.
Definitely. Awesome, that sounds good to me. I can follow up a little bit with that later, but that sounds good to me. Any questions for comms? Great. Release branch management. I didn't see Carlos on, but not sure if we have any other release branch managers on the call. We might want to add an update. If not, that's fine. We can skip on.
I can give a quick update. I think Veronica is going to be cutting a release tomorrow. So I think that's going to be our first one, and we're super excited for that. That's the main update we have on our end.
Cool. And pre-congratulations. That will be fun to see. Emeritus Advisor, Tim, you got anything for us?
Just a reminder to the shadows that a doodle had gone out and an email list was created. It's Kubernetes release team shadows, and all the shadows are on it. Based on the doodle, 2 invites went out to the set of shadows so that we can have an all shadows meeting. Time zones are hard, so I guess I'll just say these in my local one. June 3rd, which is Wednesday in my time zone, Pacific, in my morning, translate to your time zones as appropriate, will be one of the meetings. And then the next one will be about 36 hours later, Thursday evening, June 4th, my time, which is going to be June 5th morning for most of the people for whom that makes a better time, I would say. So those will just be a place for us to get together and chat. We've been going through things a bit now, and an option to sort of ask some questions, what you've been seeing in these meetings, if you have any questions or concerns or thoughts, bubble up ideas, or maybe you'd like to see more of something, but just an open forum for shadows. Obviously in this meeting so far, it's been a lot more of the leads talking, but a space for all the shadows to chat. So hopefully we'll have some good conversation in a couple days. And that's it from me.
Thank you very much, Tim. Any questions on that front? I do know that I sent out invites. This week does start our burn down meetings where it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think there might be a conflict there on Wednesday.
We can do a half hour instead of a full hour, and then shift over, and we can also follow up asynchronously then via mailing list or Slack. And I guess I should mention that too. If you didn't see the invite, check your email for the Kubernetes release team shadows incoming email, or poke me tpepper on Slack and I can help you find it too.
Cool, thank you so much, Tim. Yeah, if anyone has any problems with that time zone or anything, or it just doesn't work, please reach out to me or your leads, and we can definitely get a doodle out and figure out a good time that works for everyone. Time zones are hard. I'll definitely add on to that one. Always fun. My update, some of the upcoming milestones. So today is the call for exceptions. So we'll be looking at those and kind of fielding any final ones coming in. Tomorrow is the 1.19.0 beta 1 release. Very excited about that. And we heard on that front from Dan as well. And then the next big update after that is brace yourself, code freeze is coming, which is going to be on June 8th. Also very excited about that, and it's getting hot here where I am, so I'm all for reducing that temperature. I did not see an update from SIG scalability, but last one we had was on the 18th of May, that the scalability jobs look good and no regressions at that point in time. Any questions on those fronts? Awesome. Moving over into open discussion, I'd like to turn it over to Lori Apple. Lori, thank you so much for joining us today to kind of talk about process improvement and some of the things that she's working on within our community.
So I'm just gonna go with it.
I think it's, sorry, Lori, I think it's a little muted.
Oh, really? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it was just a little quiet for some reason.
Okay, maybe my connection is a little weird.
Maybe it's using a different microphone.
I'm not sure. I mean, how about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think that.
Maybe now?
There, yeah, that sounds good.
Is this better? Okay,
yes.
Great. Glad I had my backups. So I've been helping out with Kubernetes for the last 2 months, and my gateway was looking at pull request velocity, and I also was looking into the release team's processes, because obviously the release cycle gives all the SIGs and everyone else a focus point. So you're shipping some software, and so this tends to rally people together. And so I kind of see the pull request velocity topic as a lot of organic. It can be dispersed throughout the SIGs, individual contributors responding. There's a lot of organic activity there, like the big community moving up. And then also the release team, which isn't to say that you're at the top of some pyramid, but you're driving that focus for everyone else. And so looking at how the change at one layer and the change at the release layer can kind of meet in the middle at some point and create a seamless flowing process. If that makes sense. Does that So to get into more specifics about what the release team is doing and what I've been doing around your backlog, I see a lot of process improvements in GitHub issues, sub-project boards, Google Docs, data, just how many things are hanging around these different backlogs, et cetera. And I've been pulling it all together, and I can, the host is disabled attendee screen sharing. You can just pull it up if you want. It's just the spreadsheet that a lot of you have seen already. I've posted this in the chat a few times.
There, I just
Am I enabled to share it now? Or?
Yeah, I think that should work now. I just made you co-host.
Okay. So then I will share. And it's this list of stuff. So basically what I was doing was a lot of archaeology, going through issues, pull requests, retro notes, comments, etc., and pulling together everything that I could find that was open. Also some of the documentation, but pulling everything I could find that was pointing toward the release cycle. And then the goal here is, how could we make the release team's happy path as clear and flowing as possible? So you already have a lot of process in place. A lot of that is working because of improvements that you've made over the past while, over the past few cycles, but you still have a lot of these open items. And so then there's a lot of them, right? So, but and there's probably more that I've missed because there's just a lot of things going on at any given time. So the goal here was, well, could we do an exercise to, first of all, understand which of these items were for the release team to solve primarily, and then which items were for other SIGs or other governing bodies of the community to solve. So if we were to take this list of, I think, about 100 items and go through them the first time to kick out and establish that boundary of release team and everything else, how could you condense that list? And then the next step would be to actually look at the stages of the release cycle where these items are supposed to take place. And to create column A, I basically took your release diagram and broke it down into the 4 primary blocks there. So there was, these are just in alphabetical order, but feature definition, feature work, the bugs, cycle, fixing, iterating, etc., and then the release. And then I also included a 5th title for overall dev process, which would encompass everything. So then, if this release team could actually divide these items into those buckets, those 4 stages, then that's another way to organize all of this content and categorize it. And then the final 2 stages would be where the team would actually get together and prioritize this work. So there's all kinds of prioritization frameworks out there. The 2 that I thought would be most useful were the Moscow method, which would mean what is a must do, what is a should do, and what is a could do or nice to have. So, having the group identify those musts and those shoulds, and there may be some, refinement of that list, but ideally you get a smaller list of priorities that you would try to complete either in this release cycle or next. And then, what would be the highest impact, lowest effort, and then what would be the highest impact, highest effort. So putting those on a grid and then identifying, not only what are must, but also what are the highest impact, quickest wins. And then maybe you could actually schedule the longer term items that are going to require more effort. Over time, you could break those down perhaps into smaller chunks so that you could actually achieve part of the goal in this cycle or the next release cycle, and then maybe there would be more work to do longer term, but at least you've made some progress on that work. So usually when I do these kinds of prioritization sessions, everybody's in the room in person, but this is obviously a lot of organizing and may not be the most efficient and effective way for this particular group to do it. So I was talking to Taylor and Tim and Stephen about how we might be able to execute on this. And the idea would be to have asynchronous groups, so small breakout groups, maybe 3 or 4 people at max, just talk together over Slack and actually do. And then we could then get together and try to collect the items in a whole group, like asynchronously again.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much, Lori. Does anyone have any questions? I think the biggest points around this are really to improve the process that we go through to remove all, as much toil as we possibly can, and just, make it easier to work within Kubernetes. I think that I'm definitely excited for this to get kicked off. I know that Stephen just decommed SIG-PM, but definitely lives on in spirit with this project, so that should be nice. Awesome. If there are no questions, then if there are any questions or ones arise later, feel free to hit any of us up, and we'd be more than happy to help out on that front.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking to folks for a while, so I think when could we possibly actually get this? Is this actually something that the group would want to do? Because it has to be by consensus that this activity, that people have time to do it, they have interest. So, I mean, perhaps it's on an individual basis. Maybe the entire team doesn't participate. So, but are there people who actually want to participate?
Definitely. Not sure if you're cutting off there at the end, Lori, but no, does anyone have any questions on that front? Awesome. I think that is everything that we had on our agenda. I'd like to open it up one last time for if anyone has anything that they want to share or comment on. Otherwise, I can give you the remaining time back in the hour. Great. Thank you so much for attending, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and I'll see you around Slack, GitHub, and the world. Later, everybody.